Welcome to Disaster Zone, where in this episode you'll witness some of the most horrifying high-speed passenger train crashes ever caught on camera. From fatal human error, negligence, and even sheer bad luck. Join us as we uncover what really happened in the lead up to these horrific disasters. In Odisha, India, on June 2nd, 2023, just weeks before this episode, a three-way train collision was recorded as India's worst train accident in over a century.
We start the programme in India, where at least 260 people have been killed in a train crash in the eastern state of Odisha.
Causing hundreds of deaths and over 1,000 injuries, this collision shocked not only the people of India, but the world in its entirety.
A devastating three-way train crash rocked India over the weekend.
The disaster, which took place at approximately 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, involved three major train carriages: the Coromandel Express, the Bengaluru-Harwar Superfast Express, and a goods train which was parked near the Bazaar railway station in Balasore. The Coromandel was travelling from Shalimar to Chennai when it mistakenly took a passing loop instead of the main line towards the Bazaar station. This put the Coromandel on the exact same track as the parked goods train. When the Coromandel collided with the goods train, the impact was so fierce that it forced 21 of its passenger coaches to roll onto the adjacent track. The Bengaluru train was travelling in the opposite direction on the adjacent track, tragically colliding with the Coromandel Express. The carnage was unimaginable, looking like something pulled straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster movie. Emergency personnel worked day and night over the next few days to find survivors and clear the track of debris.
I'm blessed to have another chance at life. The collision felt like an earthquake. Afterwards, I took my shirt and wrapped it around my head and started looking for my friends. Kumar says he shared an ambulance with his friend who lost both legs and later died.
At the time of this episode, the death toll is now at 275 and counting, including over 1,000 injuries. However, Indian officials expect these numbers to continue to rise before the dust settles on this horrific accident.
There was a small child amongst them, whose parents were killed. He was crying and eventually died.
The cause of the crash is yet to be discovered, but the authorities are now leaning towards evidence that it may have been a faulty switch which sent the Coromandel on the wrong trajectory. And if there is one or a group of people to blame for this accident, the Prime Minister of India has made it clear that they will be held responsible.
हर प्रकार की जांच के निर्देश दिए गए हैं और जो भी दोषी पाया जाएगा उसको सख्त से सख्त सजा हो.
Within 51 hours of the biggest train tragedy that India has ever seen, Balasore train tracks is fully functional.
This is the first ever Vande Bharat Express crossed the accident site of Balasore. Since this accident took place, you can see currently this Vande Bharat Express is crossing on the track which was massively damaged due to the massive impact of the accident.
While India is no stranger to train collisions, this particular accident ranks as one of its worst, just like our next case, which might seem more likely appearing in a Final Destination film with a 1 in a million chance of happening. The date is June 3rd, 1998 in Lower Saxony, Germany. An intercity express train 884 was travelling with 287 passengers from Munich to Hamburg at speeds of approximately 200 km per hour. It was just 4 miles away from a road bridge outside of the city of Eschede, where the first of 3 things happened to ignite a trifecta of events that led to the worst train disaster in Germany's history. A fatigue fracture was hiding in a steel tyre on axle 3 of the first car behind the engine. The fracture split the tyre, causing it to shoot up between 2 passenger seats. A section of this steel tyre would be carried underneath the train, which led to the next act of this trifecta. The hanging steel would soon scoop up a check rail that would not only pierce through the floor and into the ceiling just behind the bathroom of car 1, but also cause a significant jump of the wheels to hop off the track and ride across the concrete track connectors. It was mere seconds after this that led to the crash of this high-speed train. Just meters before the road bridge is a diverter track. This, along with the speed and weight of the train, caused two cars to shoot off the track directly into the path of the concrete support columns on the road bridge. And the lead train, along with cars 1 to 4, managed to get past the bridge, but unfortunately the bridge collapsed on the back half of car 5. A catalogue of horrifying experiences came out of this disaster. Some people stuck inside cars with no escape as the windows were not made to be broken from the inside. And stories from survivors who put this disaster into real perspective.
There was just no time to think. I heard the bang and was thrown about. I was catapulted from left to right. I saw that the windows were shattering and the train buckled so much. It's just impossible to imagine how it was so completely smashed up, so completely ripped apart.
The crash took the lives of 101 people, injuring 192 others from the passenger and crew manifest. An investigation led to poor engineering of the wheels and a failure in scheduled maintenance checks. And from one freak accident via a crack in its wheels, which no one saw coming, to our next crash which was 100% preventable in more ways than just one. Coming in at number 3, we head to Santiago de Compostela in Spain, where we cover what would turn out to be the deadliest train derailment in Spain's history from over the last 4 decades. On July 24th of 2013, a high-speed passenger train carrying 218 people had left the city of Madrid and was heading to Ferrol. At approximately 6:40 p.m, the Alvia high-speed train was entering a stretch of tunnels that would lead to a curved piece of track with a posted speed limit of 80 km per hour. That's less than half the cruising speed which the train is usually traveling at. The train was equipped with an automatic braking system, along with location beacons spreading across all the tracks. This system should tell the train where it was at all times and would normally give its brakes automatic signals when nearing curved tracks or switching tracks in order to slow it down to an appropriate speed. However, as fate would have it, the Spanish Transit Committee noticed that this particular system would at times slow the train down far too much, ultimately causing many delays in their schedule.
There are malfunctions with the automatic braking system, and the error causes trains to come to a halt.
Thus, a decision was made to turn this automatic safety feature off, therefore leaving the driver of the train to be aware of where they were at all times. Many drivers, though, have expressed difficulty in determining their exact positions on the track, especially leading out of the tunnel right before the scene of this accident. Although driver Francisco Garzon knew the route quite well, it was said that he was distracted with a phone call from dispatch at the time of this disaster, and when he came out of the tunnel, which was only 300 meters away from the curved track, it was too late to prevent the imminent accident and loss of life. He hit the brake last minute, but as Francisco and the train entered the curve at 190 km per hour, momentum would take its course.
My wife was still there, and then all of a sudden I could see her go like this. She hits with her head on the little table. I had, feeling that this was not going to be good. And that's it, I was knocked out.
The second train car derailed about halfway around the curve, pulling the entire passenger train behind it along with it.
Ay, Dios mío, es que esto es inhumano, esta curva. Dios mío, pobres viajeros. Ojalá no haya ningún muerto.
The aftermath of this derailment was a mass of carnage and twisted metal. The loss of life was devastating.
They started pulling out my wife. She was conscious. I could see that she was not doing too well. We prayed together the Lord's Prayer. She couldn't say it, but she was holding on, and every time would squeeze my hand as I said the Lord's Prayer.
Out of the 218 passengers and 4 crew members, the crash claimed the lives of 79 people while injuring 143. Immediately after this incident, the committee reinstated the automatic braking system on all trains, but for 79 people, this was too little too late. So who's really to blame here? The driver who decided to take his eyes off the track to answer a call despite repeated warnings that their visual cues weren't good enough? Or was it the transit committee for trying to save time instead of adjusting a fail-safe technology? Well, we'll let you be the judge. But I know one thing's for certain. In our next case, there are multiple parties to be blamed. This next case, although ultimately resulting from human error, also has a few secrets buried beneath the seemingly transparent surface. Let's travel to Amagasaki, Japan. On the morning of April 25, 2005, Amagasaki witnessed their worst train derailment since the 1960s. Train 5418M was a limited stop rapid commuter train which was run by the West Japan Railway Company, and if we know anything about this company, it's that they're extremely diligent with their timing and schedules. They advertised that anything further than 28 seconds behind schedule was simply unacceptable, and it would be this need to remain on schedule which would ultimately cause the accident itself. At around 8 AM local time, the train being driven by 23-year-old Ryojiro Takami departed from its first station. But soon after, about 25 minutes before the derailment, Takami had run a red stoplight on the track, causing the train to stop before being able to continue. This would cause a delay of about 60 seconds. In an attempt to make up precious time, he accelerated towards the next station. Sadly, his attempts backfired as his approach to Itami Station was overshot by 4 train cars. He then had to back into the correct position and the passenger exchange was then complete. However, now Takami was 90 seconds behind schedule. An important factor in this case was that Takami had been severely reprimanded for an overshoot and delay in the past and feared further humiliation or the loss of his job. He left Itami Station with approximately 700 passengers on board and was determined to cut down this delay. However, this would be done at an unknowingly tragic cost. He launched the train down the line at 120 km per hour, and while over the next 4 minutes he had reduced the delay from 90 to 60 seconds, he was also heading for a curve in the track that had a posted 70 km per hour speed limit. There was far too little time to correct his incoming speed as Takami hit the curve at 116 km per hour. The train shot off the track, propelling the second car into a parking garage and sending the remaining cars plummeting into the corner of the building below. The disaster took the lives of 107 commuters, injuring approximately 550. Shortly after the incident, the president of the West Japan Railway Company resigned. Clearly, Takami had a hand in this preventable disaster, but after an investigation was conducted, his actions become more understandable. It was said that the company would hand out unnecessarily harsh punishments for late arrivals and departures, including verbal lashings and extensive report writing. To provide context, the employees who had gone through these punishments explained them as closer to psychological torture. So while the West Japan Railway Company could pride themselves on a timely transit schedule, they are also highly regarded as the architects of their own demise, and their overly zealous punishments for the most minor of delays ultimately cost them not only their reputation, but the lives of 107 passengers. We are almost certain those unlucky passengers would rather have lost 90 seconds than the rest of their lives. These high-speed passenger train crashes shook the minds of communities and commuters across the globe. Which one shocked you the most? And who was truly to blame for these devastating disasters? Leave a like down below and subscribe to see more content just like this.